Hi there, this is Fixed It. This is part 2 of my 2-part iPhone 5C screen replacement video. If you haven't watched part 1, I recommend you do so by clicking on the link above. We want to put that back in place. There it is. And then put that back in place. And then replace the screws. Okay, so there's the first bit back, and then we put this plate back on. Okay, so that's in place and the camera's in place. Now what we need to do is to put the speaker back in place. Now we need to put the metal speaker and camera cover back in place. And there's a little hook here, and that needs to go underneath the plastic to hook that down in place down there. That's it. Now I need to screw that down. There's an interesting quandary about doing videos on your own. It reminds me of trying to type when somebody's looking over your shoulder. It's a very similar thing when you're concentrating on doing the video and putting things together as well. Okay. The next screw. Problem is there's a magnet there, here, so it jumps to the magnet every time. I don't know if you heard that noise. That's the dreaded noise. That's the noise of a screw firing out of a pair of tweezers. A screw that I now need to find. And so I found the screw. That was a pain. So now I just need to put the screw back in over at this side. And now there's the 4 screws that go around the outside. That's one in place. God, this is so tiny. Oh, to have my 20-year-old fingers again. How good that would be. Taken for granted so much when you're young, and you have your fingers and you can do tiny things. The annoying thing is, as you get older and you become more skilled, sadly, you lose a lot of the manual dexterity, which is a bit annoying, to say the least. With those 4 screws in place, I can now go back to screwing the panel at the bottom. I have to apologise for the jittery camera. So I've got a little thing attached to the desk. Right, so there's one more screw down here that I need, and my friends, that is it. Everything's back in place. And the question is, now, does it work? So let's get the 3D printed holder out and the iPhone 5 and put it together. So let me slide that down and in place. Let's spin this iPhone 5C around and see if we can get those cables clicked back into place without breaking anything. It's really important when you're doing this that you get the order right, otherwise you won't get the cables to lie properly and you could end up damaging them if you try and force them down. The first cable to connect is the large vertical touch cable. You need to gently lift up the other two cables out of the way and then maneuver the plug until it's just over the socket. And then as you apply your finger pressure to it, you should feel it lock into the socket. Make sure it's there before you push it down. Okay, that one's in. The next to be connected is the long horizontal plug for the LCD. Again, gently feel for the position before slowly clipping it into place. Whatever you do, don't rush it, because if you do, you'll end up crushing the socket and break it. All that's left to plug in is the front camera sensor connector. Now with the LCD touch panel still on the stand in the vertical position, I'm going to reconnect the power so I can check to see whether or not it's actually working before I fasten it all down and put it back together. We have power, so now with it still on this stand, I'll spin it round and press the power button and hopefully the screen will light up. We have an Apple screen. Okay, I'll type in the password. So now we want to put the plate back on to cover the LCD and touchpad cables and select all of the screws. Make sure you get them in the right order because they are of different lengths, which was why we laid them out in the square pattern in the first place. And then once we've actually got all this in place, what we need to do then is not to forget. We need to make sure that we don't forget to put the cover back over the battery connector and screw that down, because if we forget to do that, we could end up shorting out the battery and motherboard and wrecking the iPhone, which kind of defeats the object. Once the final screw is in place, just go around and check that you haven't left anything inside, because we're ready to close up. Okay, so I've screwed that panel back on, and I've screwed that panel back on for the power, and now just the job of closing it and checking that everything works. This is a really delicate bit, so be very, very, very careful. All you want to do is to just slide that down until such time as it goes in the top and it's level, and then push it down and squeeze it closed. Right, now before I screw the little screws back on, let's power it up again. Wow, it's coming back to life. So my advice is, if you get a chance to pay a bit more and get a replacement screen, touch panel and LCD with the button and everything else attached, it may cost you another $10 or $15. But if you do that, it might save you hours of work, and it also might save you actually destroying the thing and having to get another panel, which is one of the reasons why they don't ship it. But I'll just type in my password, hopefully. And there we have it. Okay, so no SIM installed, that's no problem. Now let's test whether or not the keyboard is working, or whether or not it's actually a keyboard chip that was the problem. So L was okay, P is okay. So let's just clear all that. That's done. Get a new one. So QWERTY. Yeah, return. Oops, that's just my fat fingers. So there it is, it's all done, it's all working, and I'm now going to give this to my young mate Oliver, because his brother's got a big phone and he hasn't, and then he'll be able to send me messages to say I'm on Fortnite. Hope you liked the video. So that's how to replace a screen, LCD panel and touch panel on an iPhone 5C, and it's not a difficult job, but it's just very fiddly. Not for the faint-hearted. The first time you do it you may destroy it. It takes practice. If you've got a broken iPhone, or if you can pick one up on eBay or something that's completely trashed, I'd advise that you take it apart and have a practice before you go and work on your own phone. Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to the channel and check out all my other videos, tips and a lot of money saving tips. Thanks for watching. Bye.